Long time no see. Some things have changed. Things that have changed the setup and how I'm doing things now that I want to address before I start making content videos so that the expectation of what you're receiving and what you can compare it to isn't drastically different from the first video that I made. Firstly, if you look around you, you can tell the move is complete. I'm in a different room. This isn't the office I was in before. Now, as you can probably hear from my voice, is that the issues of the environment hasn't changed. And in fact, has gotten worse. That's the bad news. The good news is that that's temporary because this room isn't going to be my room. This isn't the final house. This is a rental for in between to the actual room that is carpeted, and I can properly take care of the walls so that the echo isn't as bad. So we can't sound treat this room. There are ways I can start recording now, though, while I'm waiting for the other house to be ready so that I can be recording and getting some content out there that I'll go over later on in the video. But that's the first major change. We're in a new place, and new environments means new things, and I'm super excited to reinvent myself and have a new me in this new area. The second thing is we got a new recording setup. As you can probably tell, there's a really nice looking microphone on this mic stand here. I want to introduce you to the Audio Technica 2020. That is the microphone that I have. It's a very introductory cardioid condenser microphone. Very good, very well rounded, very highly reviewed, and resources that I trust that I'll go over later on and introduce you to. Highly recommend it for people who are starting up in voice acting or wanting to record audio at a introductorily professional level, which is very nice, and I'm very excited to test it out and put it through its paces to the full extent that I can. The microphone is accompanied and severely helped by a very good preamp, the Motu M4 preamp. It is probably a bit more than what I needed. It has multiple audio channels for instruments and has lots of features that aid an instrumentalist or singers or musical performers, but it has some basic features that I find are really nice as a quality of life that I wanted to invest a little bit extra into. And I figured spending a bit more on the preamp than the microphone would make it so it's not throttling the microphone, if you know what I mean, when it comes to if I get a new one, where I don't have a microphone that's better than my preamp, and then the audio recording that's coming out isn't as good as it could be. So this preamp has a lot of cool features. It has the ability for me to adjust the gain and have immediate feedback based on the levels that it shows me on its monitor screen, so I can know exactly what my gain levels are, where I'll be peaking, where I won't be peaking. And overall, it's small, but feels of good build quality, and I'm really excited to work with it. As well, the video quality, you can tell, is slightly better. The webcam that I was using before, the Logitech, is no longer in use. However, I don't have a new webcam. I'm actually using a device I've had for a while. I'm using my cell phone. My cell phone, my Google Pixel 3, is presently being used as my webcam using an app called Droid Cam, which is providing a USB connection to my phone video feed that isn't bad. The Google Pixel is really well known for its camera and its advertising, and I'm not much of a photographer in the first place, so I never thought I'd utilize it. I just wanted an Android that was for top line quality, and I also like the Google Pixel for its speakers, which is why I was interested in stuff like the HTC One before. But the Google Pixel's camera is outstanding, and using it as a web camera is basically, satisfactory for what I would need right now. Eventually, I will want to get an actual camera that I end up using dually as a web camera for content, and so that I can, have a reliable, daily driver camera that I don't have to lose the ability and access to my phone to use. But for now, my phone is going to work very well for recording myself and my face. I plan eventually to do a comparison video of my old setup, if you remember, the Samsung G-Track Pro, versus this setup in this room. Hopefully I'll get the warranty replacement because that microphone did die. I sent that in for a warranty exchange because it did eventually finally die. So we're going to get a brand new one back fully functioning compared to another brand new microphone setup, we'll be recording multiple things back to back, comparing the two in this environment with both the techniques I'll use to make the echo not as bad and then without, and seeing how they stand up to each other. What would win, a USB microphone or a microphone through a standard cable into a preamp that's filtering the sound and processing the audio and putting it into the computer? I think we can already predict who's going to win that one, but I'll let us be suspensed, and we'll find out later on when that video does come out, when I get that microphone in, which will happen right away. Now, let me show you an example of how this microphone sounds. You're already hearing it right now without any actions being done to make up for the room. There are things you can do to not have this echoing, which I'll show you in an Audacity recording I made, where I show you the workaround that I do to get the best audio. Right now, as you can probably tell, the audio doesn't sound great. The microphone sounds great. I sound a lot clearer than I did in the previous video, but the audio that you're hearing is the mouth words coming out of my pie hole are bouncing around the room and are hitting the microphone multiple times, causing a bit of a reverberation, kind of an echo, where you sound like you're in like a cathedral or something. I think in the first video I compared it to like the Halo theme, where you could probably do some singing in here and it would give you a pretty neat effect for that, but otherwise it won't sound isolated at all, and it'll be really hard to fix in post-processing when you really want to get your raw recording to be as clean as possible, make it easier on you for the editing later on, so you don't lose any of your quality in your voice. So to do that and to isolate the sound as best as I can, I'm going to do a classic trick that a lot of people have recommended in their guides and their videos for setups that aren't great. That is hiding under a blanket. Makes me feel like a 12-year-old again with my blanket and pillow forts, but hiding under your blanket does, in fact, make the audio sound a lot better. But it doesn't make for great videos because no one can see you acting. But if you drape it correctly, it's going to sound a lot better, and you won't hear the echoing or the bouncing off the walls of the words as often as you would normally, but it'll make for a clearer sound. It's not comfortable, it's not fun, and the recording sessions you try and do will be very awkward, but it makes for the best sound in the meanwhile. I'll show you with a Audacity recording that I made now to kind of give you a comparison side by side. Okay, so now we're in a program called Audacity. It is a free recording software that is open for anyone to use. It's a great introductory audio recording software with some basic editing tools to help you get the kind of sound that you want. Before you are completely convinced into doing vocal recordings, this is a great program to start off with and just play with whatever setup you have in the moment. And also lets you edit and add in like other files to edit them together. It's very nice, very versatile. I'm enjoying using it so far. The wavelengths you see on the screen right now are a recording of the quick brown fox phrase. For those of you unfamiliar, I'll let Past Tom recite it for you. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's just a simple phrase that contains every letter of the alphabet. Kind of is like a test phrase familiar with test 1, 2, 3, and people test microphones. Just gives you the chance to hear all the letters of the alphabet and, the tones, and so you can tell like if you need to adjust certain levels or not. With this phrase here, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And how you hear me right now, you can hear an echo. It's very noticeable, and that's because, again, the words that I'm saying, the sound waves are bouncing off the hard surfaces around this room and the wooden floor, creating a reverberation in which you're literally hearing me multiple times in a quick succession hitting the microphone. Because there's nothing soft padding the sound doesn't sound isolated. You sound like you're in a room or you're in a closet or whatever recording the audio. And this makes it essentially hard to edit because there are ways to do it, but when you filter out echoes and stuff, you lose sound quality in the voice too when you do those filters, and it makes it a lot harder to record. You want as clean of a recording as possible when you are submitting like a tape for an audition, or if you are like submitting something for like a fan project. You want to make the editor's job as easy as possible and be as easy to work with as possible, because it'll make a difference. So comparing these two side by side, the second audio form is with that simple trick I showed before, where I put the blanket over my head, and it helps isolate the sound by providing soft barriers in which absorbs the sound and basically makes it so that you don't hear the bounces off the walls as much. So let's hear it with padding now. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And the difference is like night and day, and it's kind of scary. It sounds a lot sharper. I'm a bit closer to the microphone than I would have preferred. I tried to keep the distance the same as possible, but I was a bit closer just because of the nature of the blanket kind of pinning you and your setup together. But it just sounds so much more clear. And I'll play it together so that we can just hear it together. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The second one is just infinitely easier to work with. That's the strategy that I'll be using, the blanket strategy, for all the recordings I'll be doing, so I can easily edit and do the cuts that I need to and filter in other music or whatever effects that I need to without any concerns for the reverb making it sound, unnatural. Will that make for great recordings for video? No. Which is why you might not be seeing a lot of my face, because it'll be under a blanket. But I think it'll still provide for better audio and listening, which is what the focus of the channel is going to be. A lot less on me and more so on the voice. Well, I thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about the setup or things that I plan on doing, you feel free to ask it down below. I appreciate the support I got on the last video and the words of encouragement that I got from some commenters. I was very happy to see that. I really appreciate the positive feedback, and I just hope to bring to you next time my first bits of voice acting now that I have a setup that I'm pretty happy with. It won't have a lot of my face in that one. It'll probably be some stand-ins and some clip art, so look forward to some jank. But yeah, I'm really excited and happy to start entertaining and hopefully getting a laugh out of some of you. Until next time, you have a good one. Before we go, I did want to mention one thing. A lot of the resources that I use to make a lot of my purchasing decisions and all my decisions when it came to how I'm going to manage myself and how I'm going to approach pursuing voice acting as a career came from the advice of an individual named SBN3, also known as SoBroKnow3. He manages a website called VA Nutshell, which is va-nutshell.com. On there, it has tons of resources for microphone reviews, preamp interface reviews, and blog posts and interviews with other voice actors and other people who work in entertainment, in which you can use to help better inform yourself. It was my recommendation source for the microphone and for the preamp, and so far I've been very happy with the information I've gotten from SBN3. He does a lot of cool comedy sketch videos, and he does things that I think I'd be interested in doing too. So if you want an idea or someone similar to the things I plan on doing, feel free to check him out. Great guy. Follow him on his socials as well. I'll link those and present this as well. And thank you for the information and helping me get my start. I appreciate you. Cite your sources, kids.